Welcome back to the Plus Money Podcast, your home for the best soccer bets in 15 minutes or less. I'm Andrew Passaro. He's Nick Dianni. You can follow him on Twitter at Nick Dianni. You can follow me at Andrew Passaro. You can follow the podcast at the Plus Money Pod. And you can follow Nick's pod. He's doing double duty tonight at Kicks Picks Pod. Buddy, it's so exciting to see you ahead of a massive, massive weekend where we've got Man City, Chelsea. We've got Napoli, Juve. We've got Leverkusen traveling to Leipzig. We've got an incredible game in the Premier League, a hipster's wet dream when it's Bournemouth taking on Nottingham Forest. There's so many good games to bet on. Could not have asked for a better co-pilot as we try to fly and land this plane today. And we're both flying high in the Champions League. Liverpool top of the table, Lazio top of Europa League, maybe a little Super Cup in the summer on the horizon.
I'd love it.
I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say no. All right. I don't want to take words out of your mouth, but we've got a lot of games. Let's hit the ground running.
Let's do it.
Brighton are taking on Everton. Um, I have thoughts about Everton. You have opinions about certain players at Everton, but there is a bet
Sure
here
do.
there is a bet here that I like. This is only would have hit in 4 times this season for Everton, but 15 times for Brighton. It's the patented plus money play. The both teams are scoring over 2.5 at plus 120. Um, I don't know which of these teams wins this game. I don't know if we have a winner. But the vibes are better at Everton with David Moyes in town. They're scoring goals again. This one being at the Amex means I lean Brighton, but this is very much a trap game. I hate
Yes.
Everton and Arsenal are the two teams that I hate betting on the most. And Inter. Those I don't know why it's those three teams that every time I bet on those three teams, I seem to not figure them out. But I do think there's goals in this game. And I love both teams scoring over 2.5. It's kind of very all over my card today, but what are your thoughts?
To interest you in Beto to score? No, just kidding. Just kidding. No, you're spot on, man. Listen, Brighton have been on a pretty good run of form, but they do tend to draw a lot of games. So why would we have to lay a minus 150 or put the result at risk here? You mentioned it. Everton are on the come up. There's just no way around it. There's teams worse than them. They made the managerial change they needed to make. And they're scoring goals. So I'd love both teams to score on its own. Quite honestly, that's sitting at minus 110. If you want to take a little less risk, I think that's a solid play. But both teams to score over 2.5 is the one right there with you.
All right, let's jump to Everton's crosstown rivals. Liverpool taking on Ipswich. Massive, massive disproportion on the lines here. Liverpool are minus 1050 money line. The over-unders all over the place. So much so that I didn't even look. Ipswich
Don't.
coming off getting smashed by Manchester City last week, 6-0. And I don't think playing over-unders is a smart play in this game because Liverpool have a tendency to just win these types of games 2-0. I'm gonna go the prop lane. I'm going my guy, the left winger, Cody Gakpo. 8 home starts for him. He scored in 7 of those 8 matches, scored in 5 straight. I think one of those games is off the bench though. The last 5 games he's played at Anfield, he's scored in 5 of them. One of them was off the bench. He's hit 2 shots on target in 5 of those games, plus 120 for 2 shots on target, plus 110 anytime goal scorer. On a great run at home, auto play when they're playing at home. That's really the only place I'll go. If you showed me a shot prop parlay morning of, if you had the lineup in hand, there's certain players that I could get behind, but I'd be very careful betting this game.
Yeah, listen, the only thing I think I'm going to do for this game is go to the world's, or at least the country's largest Liverpool supporter club, and that is the Liverpool Club of Palm Beach. And I will go get jello shots for every goal that Liverpool scores because that seems to be the only way to enjoy this game. Absolutely nothing to do to bet on. Don't get involved in it. If you absolutely had to and you thought Liverpool were going to take care of business, I'm looking at somebody like Soboslai. I'm looking at somebody like McAllister. You need to get a fat number. Give me one of those guys or somebody like that, maybe a defender, a wing back at like a plus 350 or better. Otherwise, enjoy the game. Move on.
It does feel like a take a Andy Robertson or Simica shot on target type of
Something
game.
like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
something
There's
weird. Which is again, we're betting on a left back to have a shot on target. One of my favorite games of the weekend. I'm not going to get a chance to watch most of it because I'll be watching Liverpool Ipswich, Bournemouth Nottingham Forest. This is weirdly like a huge game near the top of the table, and Bournemouth just went to Newcastle and tore him a new one last weekend.
a little bit.
Justin Kluivert really good.
Roma
All of a
legend.
sudden, all of a sudden, really, really good. Both teams scoring over 2.5 is plus 100, hitting for the last five Bournemouth games. Hit the last five head-to-head matchups between these two. Have all gone both teams to score over 2.5 on its own, minus 127. I like that a lot. Over 3.5 goals. I don't hate this. This screams 2-2 game to me.
Yeah, I could say it.
Over 3.5 plus 205. And I like a cheeky play on both teams on the team total over 1.5. Bournemouth team total over 1.5 minus 104. Nottingham Forest team total over 1.5 plus 190.
Big number.
Nuno is cooking up something special at Nottingham Forest right now. Chris Wood, and I should probably stop talking and give you an opportunity to give something out. But Chris Wood in extension, I don't know what his anytime goal scorer number is, but this
Plus 150.
screams that well, yeah, you were probably going to tell me to take it next anyways. But Chris Wood seems like this seems the type of game he gets involved in. There's so many like if you know ball, you know players on these teams, players in this game. It should be a cracker. And now that I'm saying all this out loud, it's gonna end up like 1-0. But what are your thoughts?
It seems like a both teams to score, no draw at plus 140. I think there's a winner in this game. I don't quite know who it is. I think, like you said, the hipster play is going to be Forest here. They're in third place. They have a fat number in front of them at plus 240. Draw no bet plus 150. So I can understand why that's going to suck a lot of people in. But Bournemouth, I like this is going to sound counterintuitive. To me, Bournemouth is almost the team of the season in the Premier League. Like, you would say Forest is the team of the season because they're sitting in third and they have the potential to stay there because the teams around them are struggling. But Bournemouth, to me, like in seventh, above Aston Villa, like above obviously like a Chelsea and a Tottenham or not Chelsea, excuse me, a Tottenham and a United and teams like that. Never would have thought. So I give Bournemouth a lot of credit. I think the plus 110 number at home scares me. Like it tells me Bournemouth win this game. If you look at games from last week where Everton were like a plus 110 favorite to Tottenham, won the game outright, where Valencia was like a plus 110 favorite at home to Sociedad, last place in La Liga, by the way, won that game outright. These odds kind of lead me right to Bournemouth at home, plus 110. Hipster pick is Forest for sure. I don't have the answer for you guys, but both teams to score, no draw. I think there's a winner.
Yeah, we're literally barking up the same tree in just different ways. Um, I agree with you about Bournemouth team of the season. And look, I'm not trying to be critical of Nottingham Forest here. And I know this is a betting podcast, but I'm going to get a takeoff real quick. Nottingham Forest have spent millions more.
It's the fourth different squad in 4 years, like fourth
they've
completely different 11.
spent so much more money
Yep.
than Bournemouth. The way that Bournemouth have built up their squad has been incredible. It should be studied and it should be taught at universities. Them and Brighton right now, I think, are the two best built clubs in the Prem. And what's incredible is that they sold a very important striker in Dom Solanke last year, and they're doing better without him.
Right.
It's unreal. I think their manager is not long for the Bournemouth job, but that's another conversation for another day. We can jump to, on paper, the biggest game in the Premier League this weekend. It's Manchester City, it's Chelsea, and this is a massive, massive game for the top four opportunity. And now there's a good chance the top five gets you a Champions League spot based on the way that teams like Liverpool and teams like Chelsea are doing in European competitions. But you never know. That's not guaranteed. Couple places I would go here. I would target Cole Palmer because you're getting a good number on him anytime goal
Yes.
scorer, playing his old club, plus 180 anytime goal scorer, 2 shots on target, plus 210. And I also like a cheeky over 4.5 at plus 240 because Manchester City can't defend for shit. I don't know if you watched that Man City PSG game
Well, I
where
did.
they gave up 4 goals straight after being up two, with frankly comical and maybe some of the worst defending I've ever seen in professional football. How do you leave João Neves unmarked at the back post on a set piece when you just gave up 2 goals in less than 3 minutes or less than 4 minutes? Just comical defending against PSG, a PSG team that didn't have a natural striker on the field. I've had questions about all year, and that was a have to have it game for Manchester City. And Pep had the audacity last weekend to say they're back. They are definitely not back. They're definitely still a mess defensively. I don't think Chelsea get a win at the Etihad, but you never know. Especially I think Chelsea are going to be without some key pieces. Enzo Fernandez and I think Lavia are both going to be missing in the
Yeah.
base of the midfield, which is it's not great, but if ever there was a time to be missing pieces in your midfield going to Manchester City, it's now. Um, I can't pick a winner, but I like goals. What are your thoughts?
If ever there was a time to fade Manchester City, it's now. I mean, I don't think it could be understated how bad their performance was against PSG. A PSG team on the outside looking in to Champions League next round qualification. A PSG team that just cannot ever seem to get it done in Champions League when it matters. To give up 4 goals in one half, there's not enough bad things I could say about this City team. That being said, Chelsea's been terrible lately, right? We thought they were primed to go on a run. Their schedule opened up perfectly for them. Figured they'd really be able to cement a top 4 place. They haven't been able to do that. Really struggling. You mentioned injuries. I think that's spot on. So I do know a lot of people will be very quick to take a Chelsea on a draw no bet, maybe Chelsea on the Asian spread. Tough for me to get there. I like a player prop. I think Cole Palmer to me it represents like the coolest storyline of this game. Um, but it's really just tough to trust either team. I'd love Chelsea to come in and make a statement win. I don't know that they do that. I'm gonna go with a very unorthodox pick for this game, but I feel like there's drama in it. Red card to be awarded plus 300. I just feel like,
Ooh,
again, like trying to give out. It's tough. I'm torn. I want to come on and I want to give out a very likely reasonable play. I think we've done really good the last 4 or 5 times we've been on together. But like this one just feels like if you're going to take a stab, red card plus 300, this seems like just something could happen.
Enzo Fernandez being out hurts the odds for that.
That's
I'll
that's
be,
true.
I'll be totally
Kukurea is
honest.
still there though. Don't worry.
Hold on, Kukurea, Caicedo, Akanji, all do,
Yeah.
100% could get
And
it.
like and who are City's defenders? Who are
Uh,
like who are they?
Ruben Dias, it could happen. It could happen. Um, all right, we'll jump to Sunday. I have two more picks in the Prem. Crystal Palace are taking on Brentford. It is time. I told us all to wait. I told us all to wait and wait and wait on Crystal Palace. Now is the time. They are playing good ball.
Hot.
Their money line plus 105 against Brentford. Do you want to know what Brentford's road record is this season?
I do.
Do you want to know what it is? It's
Yes.
one win, two draws, and eight losses. Do not overcomplicate that. We are taking Crystal Palace money line. I don't want to hear you tell me Brentford team total over 1.5. They don't score goals on the road. They lose on. They might score goals. They will score one goal on the road and then they will lose. Brentford is like in every both teams to score parlay that has hit this season. I'm not taking both teams to score in this game. Palace are going to win this game plus 105.
I tend to agree. I just kind of talked about this set of odd circumstances with 4 other examples. I think Palace at home in the form that they're in, let's not overthink it. They're hot. Brentford are hot and cold. Give me Palace on the money line. Plus 110, actually, if you have FanDuel, or excuse me, DraftKings.
Oh, there we go. I looked on FanDuel, so that's on me. Fulham are taking on Manchester United, 2 p.m. late kickoff Sunday in the Premier League. Manchester United, very dramatic Europa League match today. We gave up a late goal to Rangers, went right back down to the other side, and got the winner, Bruno Fernandes. Um, on the road, the worst Manchester United team of all time, according to Ruben Amorim. I will be running with that for the rest of eternity.
I mean,
Um,
true, right? Kind of,
it is
kind of
true.
have to agree.
Um, I love Fulham money line at plus 135, but if Fulham draw no bet moves to minus 135, that is absolutely the play.
Yeah.
United are 3-8-5 on the road this season. I do like Fulham team total over 1.5 at plus 112, and I don't hate a both teams to score over 2.5 at minus 105. Because again, depending on books, you might be able to get that line to move just a smidge onto the other side, but at minus 105, I really like that. Um, I loved both teams to score. I played both teams to score in over 2.5 when they played the reverse fixture and ended in an atrocious game that should have had goals to opening the season. Um, but I think Fulham score goals on them at Craven Cottage.
I think so too. I think United's going to be playing from behind as they typically have been. Over 4.5 team total corners for Manchester United is minus 130. I think they get to five corners because they will need to. And quite honestly, are any of their shots hitting the back of the net anyway? A lot of wayward shots in this one. Five corners for United, minus 130.
I love that. That's a hell of a way to attack that game. All right, we will jump to Spain really quick. I have plays for the Atletico Madrid Villarreal game, and I have one of my favorite plays of the weekend for Barcelona Valencia. Atletico Madrid and over 2.5 the game as at plus 135.
Yes,
Atletico Madrid and over 1.5 is at minus 115 if you want to play it a little safer.
that's where I go.
Atletico Madrid are 10-2-0 at home in La Liga. They just ended a very long winning streak outright, losing to Leganés last weekend. Then they came back and had an incredibly dramatic finish, beating another team on a crazy winning run in Leverkusen. They were down a man. Leverkusen did also go down a man, but they were down a man, scored, and then got a winner against Leverkusen. This Atletico Madrid team, Tiger Blood is the best way to describe them. Incredible side right now. Over 1.5 goals is hitting 6 of those 12 games at home. Over 2.5 is hitting 5. Again, over 1.5 gets you a good number. If
Yes,
you want a little extra juice, take over 2.5. If you want to get crazy with it, but I think Atletico Madrid handle Villarreal and continue to try to finish in a top of the table in Spain.
agree. They're hot. They're awesome at home. Very, very, very tough to beat. Um, no business winning this game yesterday, and they did it. So I wasn't really prepared to come in with a bet for this one. I'm not going to lie to you. So I like the over 1.5 and the win. That's exactly where I like to go with a game like this and a team like this. That's like pretty much automatic bet for Atletico.
All right, Barcelona are taking on Valencia. Valencia side, you mentioned very low down on the table. I do think they still have a couple games in hand because of the
Cool.
flooding in Valencia earlier in the season. Um, I'm just gonna come out right and say it. I'm taking Valencia on the spread plus 1.5, and those of at plus 138. If you want to take plus 1 3/4 at plus 110, I like that too. If you want to take plus 2 outright at minus 110, you can do that too. Um,
Wait, wait, wait. Oh, yeah. Yes, I do. I like even numbers on my pluses. Absolutely. Plus two. Sorry. Finish your
No,
thought.
you're
I got
fine.
excited. I didn't think
You're
the number
fine.
would be that good.
Look. Those of you who listen to this podcast know that the person that talks spreads on this podcast is not me talking. It's the other guy, the other handsome face that you're watching on YouTube right now at the Plus Money Pod. It's not me. I'm not the spread guy. I don't do a lot of spread bets. Will I say this is my spread bet of the year? It might not. It's not going to be a game of the year, but that's how good I feel about it.
I
The
like it.
last four, the last four of the last 5 games, the plus 1.5 on the spread would have hit. The plus 2 would have pushed. Barcelona have dropped points in 4 straight La Liga games,
Yeah.
and
Defense is
it's
terrible.
it's not against Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid. They're beating those teams. Well, not Atletico Madrid. Um, they're they're reverse Robin Hooding themselves right now is what Barcelona are doing. They give up points to Getafe. Okay. I don't know what it is. This doesn't make sense. That's what this is. It just doesn't make sense, but I'm
Doesn't
going to
matter.
take it
Doesn't need to.
anyways. Yeah. Valencia on the spread here.
Yes.
Okay. Also, future Liverpool keeper, maybe Marmarashvili just has a worldie. And uh, yeah, I love Valencia plus 1.5, plus 2, plus 1 1 3/4. However you want to play it. They might lose this game, but I think they're going to hang around. Because I think Barcelona are playing fraudulent ball right now. I know they got that incredible result against Benfica, but here's the thing: if you had Benfica plus 1.5, you won on Tuesday.
Right. Fact. Here's the other reality. Barcelona are very good. They have players who are very talented. They have players who are performing exceptionally well. I'll get into that in a second. You cannot outscore your opponent by scoring 4 goals week in and week out. It's not sustainable. It just isn't. They have Champions League in a couple days. They'll be looking ahead to that, right? This is a span of 3 games in what, 7 or 8 days for them? Not just them, but in this example, plus two buys you so many different results, right? Valencia could win the game outright. Valencia could tie the game. Valencia could lose by 1. Guess what? They could even lose by 2. You just bought yourself 4 different results. at just about even money. So I am absolutely on board with your line of thinking. That being said, if you guys are listening to this, you don't agree with us, you love Barcelona because you saw them with Messi and Neymar once upon a time, or you recognize some names, or you're just a fan because I guess that probably does exist somewhere. Um, Rafinha is an absolute baller. This is a guy that I have to give a lot of credit to. I know you and I liked him a lot at Leeds. He made the jump, and like it's one of those where like this is a very difficult jump to make directly to Barcelona. He's made it look pretty easy. He's having a phenomenal
Well,
year.
now
That,
now it looks easy. He's on his like second or third year, and I would say in the last year and a half,
but they've
he's
been going
been
through transition, right? A couple
yeah,
different managers, bringing players
yeah.
in and out. He hasn't. He doesn't even need to be the star, but he's shining really brightly right now. Um, so shout out him. But the other thing I'll say, Yamal, if he plays, he's plus 200 to score. He's been on a pretty good tear lately as well. So I think you could play that if you're into Barcelona.
Over 3.5 goals is plus 100. It's
Okay.
it's it's not great, but it's not. It's like one of those things where it's like, will I play Valencia plus two and also the sprinkle on the over three and a
And
half
if you
just in case
do,
they
I
get
mean, you're
smacked?
banking on Valencia to score a goal, right? You need
Yeah,
them to score in that scenario. So you could play. Hold on. I bet it's a good number. Why don't I have it? Both teams to score is minus 105.
there we go. There we
So
go.
I would rather play that than it to not necessarily hedge against the other play. I don't know.
I'm picking
A
up what
lot
you're
you
putting
could do
down.
here. A lot you could
Yeah,
do.
let's jump to Italy. Como are taking on Atalanta. This is put up or shut up time for
Am,
Atalanta.
am I allowed to have a play of the year on this show because it's not on my show? How
Yes,
does it work? You
yeah,
need to tell me the rules.
yes. This is the Nick Dianni plus money game of the year right here,
Okay.
right here.
Okay.
Um, I'll let you go first. There's so much to love in this game, but I'll let you go first.
No, this is an absolute smash spot for Atalanta. They are coming off of some very suspect results in Italy. Lost to Napoli last week. They did score 2 goals, but really, really tough loss for any Scudetto aspirations that they did have, whether it's realistic or not. Came back, put in, I don't know, 20% of their starting lineup in the Champions League, rolled out with 5 goals, had 4 more that were called back, believe it or not, between VAR and offsides and things like that. Um, they're getting ready to absolutely demolish Como in this game. Como are, I don't know, 15th place, which I think is way better than I expected them to be, believe it or not, for a newly promoted side. Atalanta's score two is minus 120. Atalanta money line is minus 120. Take your pick, take them both, parlay them together. Whatever you need to do, there's absolutely no way they do not put up 2 goals against Como in this game. Smash Atalanta here. Retegi's healthy, crushing. Doesn't really matter who's starting.
Retegi anytime plus 135. I like that. Can I sell you a bridge in Brooklyn called both teams scoring over 2.5 at even money?
You could. Como's been much. I mean, listen, like I said, I'm giving them credit for where they are in the standings. They've been entertaining. They've scored goals. Nico Paz, great player, does well every single game except the games that I bet him when he comes off injured. Um, you could sell it to me.
I have one more bridge to tell you. They brought that other very talented kid in from La Liga from Betis, Diao.
Yeah,
Shot on target plus 120. He's scored goals in his last two games. Anytime plus 470.
I dig it.
Yeah. I also had Atalanta money line. I had team total. I had Atalanta on over 1.5 at plus 110. So yes, we are our minds are melded, even though we don't realize it, as is often. Let's go
Yes.
to oh man, I don't want to. I can't say game of the year after you just said game of the year, but I
No,
want it to
you're
be my
allowed to have a
game.
game of the year. We could
I
have
want it.
different games of the
I
year.
want it to be my game of the year so bad. I
Yeah.
want it to be my game of the year so bad. Napoli money line. They're taking on Juve. Napoli have won five straight in Naples against
Yes.
Juventus.
Yes.
You say it on the internet all the time, so I feel vindicated to say it. Juventus are frauds. They're frauds. This is a team in transition. They're not good. It's okay that they're not good. You got to give them all the time, but they're frauds. They are a fraudulent football team. They are a fundamentally flawed football team. And this is Antonio Conte against his club that he was a legend at. You think he doesn't want to stick the knife in and win this game? Napoli are going to win this game on Saturday. Lukaku, anytime goal scorer, plus 170. Love it. Neres, plus 300, anytime goal scorer. Considerable. But outside of money line because I don't want to overcomplicate it. Napoli are going to score twice in this game. Again, they've done that in like six straight or something like that. They've been scoring goals. They're
Yes.
going to score twice. It is plus 154. I said
Yes.
on this podcast last week, Napoli to score twice against Atalanta is a great bet. I only took Toronto bet. They scored three. There's they're going to score twice on Saturday. They just are. You cannot convince me that this Juve defense is good because it's not.
Everything you said, double it, triple it, quadruple it. You're exactly right. Juve's setup is fundamentally flawed. Vlahovic is just not that guy. I think that they do have some talent with their wingers, but they just don't know. They're not mature enough. Malta's not empowering them. They're not set up correctly. I can't really put my finger on it, but their defense has collapsed, right? They have injuries. Obviously, every team deals with injuries. And Napoli's midfield is just too good. That's not really going to get talked about here, but like Anguissa has made such a comeback. He is back in Scudetto-like form as he was 2 years ago. Scott McTominay, you know, I am a big believer in him. He is just a solid player. He's the type of guy you want in a game like this. Like both of those guys are like plus 800 to score. Weirder shit has happened. Like it could be one of them getting on the score sheet, but Napoli at home, a week's rest, by the way, because they did not play midweek. Whereas Juve had to travel in a game they did not score in and did not register a shot on target. So, yeah, Napoli looks really, really good here. Plus 110, absolutely. Plus 155 for 2 goals. No question about it. Let's enjoy it.
Five of the last six, Napoli have scored two or more goals in, and in those 5 games, they've scored 3 goals 3 times. The only game in that stretch that they didn't score more than once was against, of all teams, Venezia, which they played Fiorentina and Atalanta on the road, two places that they don't always get results in, and they only scored once against Venezia. That's football. I will briefly say Leipzig playing Leverkusen. I like Leverkusen minus 120, but I also love a Leverkusen in both teams to score at plus 210 because I don't think they'll keep a clean sheet. I didn't have a Florian Wirtz score or assist number when I looked, but if it's a plus number, it's an auto play. The kid's the best player in Germany. I know the
Really good.
Musiala stands are going to be like, oh, Musiala, Musiala, give me Wirtz. You can keep Musiala. I'll take Wirtz. I'll win the Champions League. Maybe you will too.
Like it. The only thing I'll say, man, as awesome as Leverkusen has been, and I didn't even realize how good they've been because they started the year kind of not even mediocre, but mediocre compared to last year. They've been on an absolute tear. Um, Leipzig's been pretty good. They've come on. They're strong at home. Just I don't know. Weird shit can happen in this one. And like it wouldn't shock me to see a draw at plus 275. Just throwing it out there.
You're right. Also, Leipzig are the only team that have beaten Leverkusen in Germany this season. Leipzig did get their first Champions League points in a weird game against Sporting, where Sporting just decided not to play their best player for
Right.
no reason.
I had Leipzig,
Uh,
so I'm biased.
yeah, I had goals and I had Gyökeres, which I did get the Gyökeres eventually, but yeah, I was frustrated by that. I have a both teams to score parlay. It's not my favorite, but I have one. City are playing Chelsea. City 7 of their last 11, 10 if you don't include the FA Cup game against Salford. So we'll say seven of their last 10 against real teams. Chelsea it's also 7 of their last 10. Fulham, Manchester United. It's 19 to 25 Fulham games this season and 7 of the last 10 for United. Hoffenheim are playing Eintracht in Germany. It's 17 of 27 in the season for Hoffenheim. They are the both teams to score team there. And 5 of the last 10 for Frankfurt. Frankfurt just sold their best player, so you never know where they're going to be. That's plus 236. Is it my
I like it.
favorite? Is it my favorite both teams to score parlay ever? No. Um, it is also split between Saturday and Sunday, which is not my favorite. I like to just
No,
do this
no.
for Saturday, but
You could hedge. You could hedge a little if you need to, or figure something out live if you needed to.
yeah, yeah, we have time to course correct there. Um, that'll wrap us up. Like I said, go follow Nick and his podcast, that Kicks Picks Pod. Their YouTube and everything is in the bio. Great show. Deeper dive weekly on Italy, if your thing to bet. Not that they're not chatting Premier League, but as deep as we are on this podcast, usually with the Premier League, is how deep they are with the Calcio, as they say in Italy. We'll be back next week. Last week of Champions League on the horizon. What is it, like 13 games all at one time or something, like 14 games? I don't know.
Love
What's
it.
30, 36 divided by two? I don't know. They're all at 3 o'clock.
How many TVs do we need?
A lot.
Yeah.
Too many. Honestly, too many. I think there's only two games where nothing is going to impact the table. It's it's good. It's unprecedented. It's like something we've never seen before.
New format's great.
Yeah,
If
it
you don't like it, I
rules.
would like to hear why you don't like it. And I just honestly asking, not you, anybody. Like just
Yeah, oh no, it rules. It's electric. It's pretty cool having your team on top of the table with nothing to play for on the final day. I mean, you can play the kids.
I dig it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. We'll see you next week. Lots more games coming.